Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Wynn's Kitchen podcast. I'm your host, Wynn Austin, founder and CEO of Wynn's Kitchen. Join me on this journey as I learn how to grow my Asian sauce brand from my kitchen to the shelves. Today's guest is Macy Ring. She's the owner and founder of The Ginger Rabbit, a Pan-Asian grocery store located in Yucca Valley, California. Macy sources products directly from companies rather than relying solely on large distributors, offering a curated selection of Asian delicacies, goods, and specialized items. Hi, Macy. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
Thank you so much, Wynn. And that was a great intro for me. Thanks.
Yes, you're doing amazing things. So tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Wynn. Yes. And I want to say that I couldn't do what I do without brands and change making brands such as yourself. So thank you, Wynn. I'm Macy Ring. I own and operate the Ginger Rabbit, which is I don't know if I can still say new after a year, but
Congratulations
yeah.
on the first year. That's a
Thank
huge milestone.
you. It's pretty insane to think about how I'm here now and what it all took to get here.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a great milestone. And so a year ago, I opened up the Ginger Rabbit in Yucca Valley, California, which is just minutes from world famous Joshua Tree National Park.
Mhm.
The population here overall in the Morongo Basin, which includes Yucca Valley, Morongo Valley, and Joshua Tree, is about 70,000 people. And less
Okay.
than 2% are actually Asian descent.
Right. I was gonna
Mhm.
say, I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it on the map as like
Mhm.
a concentrated Asian American area.
Right, right. It's very small. Um,
Mhm.
so that equates roughly like maybe 60 to 70 individuals who identify as Asian, and
Mhm.
one of those includes me. I'm originally
Right.
from Redlands, California, Loma Linda, San Bernardino area, and I took
Okay.
residence here in 2018 because it's just slower pace, quiet. The park is here. I grew up visiting the park a lot, and so when I decided to invest in property, it just made sense to uh, locate here. But at the time, I was working at UC Riverside. I was in higher education, advising students for the most part, and I also went to school at UC Riverside as well. So
Oh,
not
wow.
only,
Okay.
yeah, not only was it my alma mater, I also uh, gave at least 10 years of professional service as a first gen uh, low income minority student. I wanted to give back to the community that, in
Mhm.
my mind, helped to shape and develop me as I, um, became an adult. And that was very rewarding when for like
Yeah.
10 years advising students that I look at them, I see me, and I just want to be a positive role model. And with that said, I was commuting at
Mhm.
least 3 to 4 to 5 days a week from Yucca Valley to Riverside, and so that got very tiring, I have to admit.
Yeah, I bet. So how long is that?
Yeah. It's about an hour, but, with traffic on the daily, it could total to 2 to 3 hours just sitting in your car.
Wow.
So,
Okay, so I won't complain when I drive to like Orange County.
Yeah, it
No,
adds up quite a bit.
it does. It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So you're on this journey, you're
Mhm.
helping students and
Mhm.
yeah, I know it brings you a lot of it's very rewarding,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Um, but so you were tired of the commute and
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about the thought process, like where did you go from there? Like
Yeah,
you're like, what do I do next?
right. What do I do next? I'm halfway to 80. I wanted to really make some sort of a different kind of dent. I feel like I gave a lot of myself to higher ed, which I'm very thankful for, um, and grew a lot from that experience. But it was time to make another dent in some other completely different, not not even a chapter, but a completely different book in a different library. you
Right,
know,
right.
and like I was saying before, we're Yucca Valley is a very rural area. There are some suburbs, but like I said, the
Mhm.
population size is very small here, less than 2% Asians. So there's not a lot of places to shop for diverse ingredients to make
Yes,
Asian foods. And so
yes.
it didn't take me long to think, okay, I want to be my own boss. I want to start
Mhm.
my own business. And it didn't take me long to realize that there is a niche to fill here. And I felt confident enough because I love cooking. I love shopping for high quality ingredients and just, um, I just knew right away that this was for me. And so
Mhm.
I started. You'll realize about me when I set my mind onto something, I really run with it.
I love it,
Yeah.
and you have to have that attribute, as an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
You know, you have to I would say I tell people, you know, you have to be your biggest cheerleader and really
Yeah,
believe in yourself and
yeah,
have that passion,
for
right?
sure.
It's risky, there's a lot of positive, uh, things about being an entrepreneur, that I love, but it's hard and it's a huge risk. But you know, I'm so happy that you did that. So you opened your store. Eh, so because I know there wasn't a lot of places for you to shop, so you decided, okay, I'm going to open the one
Exactly.
and only,
Yes.
you know, Pan Asian American market in Yucca
Yes.
Valley. And so what were the first steps in doing that?
Yeah. So, and I just want to say, Win, that this is what you and I and many change makers in the world of Asian foods have in common. I love your sort of like tagline, Win, that you're trying to challenge and change the Asian aisle, the international aisle that we all
Yeah,
know and are familiar with at like our big grocery store chains, right? And
right.
so I totally vibe with that. And it
Yeah,
was one of the things that really drew me to you and your brand. Definitely. I wanted to bring in like-minded brands into the store and just be a part of that mission
right.
that you and I are on to change the way people think and view
Yeah,
Asian foods. That it's doesn't have to be cheap or cheaply made. It doesn't
absolutely.
always have to come from abroad to be authentic. That um, all of that can happen here at home, like in our backyard. Southern California. There's so many Asian people with so many great ideas and so many awesome products. That's what I'm bringing into the store. Of course, I do have a few products that people may find at a
Neat.
regular
Yeah.
grocery store, but I
Mhm.
do consider myself a more modernized Pan Asian American. And American in there is very important because, after all, we all are in America, and there are influences from that food culture as well.
Absolutely. And one thing, I always try to get across is the word authentic is, it, it's hard for me because, you know, authentic is, you know, for some of the Vietnamese dishes, like, okay, yes, there are some dishes where there's like congealed pork blood, which I do eat, and just a lot of things that back in the, you know, when it back in Vietnam, those were the only ingredients available.
Mhm.
Lots of sugar, lots of
Right.
sugar because they don't have a lot of resources, and sugar is less expensive, and it can bring out the flavor of the bones because there's not a lot of bones that they can use in the broth.
Mhm.
But today we don't have to cook like that. You know, like
Mhm.
I can't eat meat that is mostly a big chunk of fat and it's just a tiny bit of meat, of pork. And that's what I grew up eating because that's how, you know, my parents and my
Mhm.
grandparents were taught because of the lack of resources that they
Right.
had.
Right.
So today, I mean, I see authentic as the you know, the ingredients like the flavor of the lemongrass, the flavor of
Mhm.
the chili, the fish sauce, and I love that fish sauce has become so like I just launched my fish sauce this
Yeah,
year, and I
which I
love
love.
it just blows me away. I didn't
Mhm.
know how, I know there's fish sauce out there. I didn't know how it was going to be received, but it's really picked up. And
Mhm.
what's surprising is fish sauce doesn't smell fishy when it's real, right?
Mhm.
For a long time, the stuff that you get at the Asian market or American stores, there's squid, there's dried shrimp in
Mhm.
there, and I think for a lot of Americans or people that are not familiar with Southeast Asian dishes, they're
Mhm.
so scared and turned off by the idea of fish sauce.
Yeah.
So for including that in my products, like the satay sauce and
Mhm.
lemongrass, people are like, "Can you remove the fish sauce?" I'm like, "I can't." Like, I just,
Mhm.
it's just how that's for me the authenticity,
Mhm.
not that it has to have like the 50 ingredients in for one dishes. I want to try to streamline and make things simple and focus on the core flavors,
Mhm.
healthier, but make it really approachable.
Mhm.
Like when I saw that you ordered my products, I was like, wow, Yucca Valley. Like I was so impressed. But at the same time, I mean, I have stores in Idaho and Montana and Wyoming that are reordering, and it brings me so much joy that food, like Asian food, is becoming streamlined, and people are not afraid of
Mhm.
making it at home.
Yeah.
They're
Oh, yeah.
open to it. So I think that's part of the mission. And so, how did your community receive it? Like, what do you do to kind of bring the community in to your store?
Yeah. No, great question, Win. And seeing that there was a need, right?
Mhm.
I did a lot of market research and talked with a lot of friends and friends of friends. Like, what do you think of this idea? And all of this like happened in less than a year. You know,
Wow.
doors
Yeah.
opened. I was juggling the two jobs for like
Yeah.
running the store and my other job for like 2 months, and
Wow.
then finally quit that job to do what I'm doing because people were coming in. When
Wow.
you
I love
know
it.
and like to what you were saying, they're not afraid to it's so weirdly, diverse. Like, there's a diverse palette up here. There's a
Yeah.
desire and need to access high quality ingredients, and
Yeah.
I'm a complete nerd. I love researching, I love reading,
Me
and
too.
yeah, learning about different products on the market, and since I've opened the store, I've definitely, like, deep dove into all of this and, just trying to bring in the latest and greatest in, and modern, locally made as possible Asian ingredients into the store, and I wanna say specifically in Southeast Asian foods.
Right.
I believe that there's not enough modern Vietnamese and Cambodian. My family background is actually Vietnamese and Cambodian. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
in your
Ooh,
Forbes article, when you talked about braised pork and, like, eggs, I freaking grew up with that too.
oh, yeah, that's, like, my
Yeah.
favorite. I'm having
Yeah,
a
yeah,
bad day.
yeah.
You're
It's
like,
very
"It's
it's
gonna
comfort
sound like
food for
how I
sure.
like paw."
Yeah, yeah, so I grew up with a lot of, it was like a fusion of Chinese, Vietnamese, and Cambodian foods,
Uh-huh.
and, a lot of Southeast Asian foods share a lot of commonalities, like you were
Yeah,
saying, the chili, the lemongrass, the galangal. I mean, we have all of that in common, but there's some slight differences, of course.
mhm.
No matter what, I'm trying to represent as best as I can through, and my store is like less than 1,000 square feet. So I like to rotate products every
Right,
month as things get moved out. I move in a new brand, and
mhm,
people may come back again. Like, it's just constantly
right.
changing my store. Um, but yeah, my one of my goals is to not only share with my community, which has been very well received, access to
Mhm.
modern, high quality, emerging brands in Asian foods, but also specifically highlighting and sharing the stories, the immigrant stories,
Right, I
behind these
love
brands.
that.
Thank
Mhm.
you, thank you. And I really enjoy sharing with people like what Cambodia is like. that story because, what happened in the late 70s, people don't
Right.
realize that or remember or didn't know that happened, and how that's also related to the Vietnam War and how that's impacted, like for you, sure, you and me. Like my
Yes.
parents immigrated here after the Vietnam War and had me here in the States. And I know that you were brought here at like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And so those experiences certainly have impacted you and I, no matter if we were born abroad and then brought here or were born here.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So when your family immigrated here, where did they live? Like where did you grow up? What area?
Okay, so I'm trying I'm gonna try to paraphrase this as best I can. So, my dad, he just passed away before the new year,
Oh,
and
you're
he never got to see the store because he was
oh,
just so unwell. Yeah.
yeah.
So I say that to it sucks for sure, but like he and my mom had sacrificed so much coming to the US after the Vietnam War. He was a translator for the Americans during that time. And he was
Wow.
actually in prison for like 4 to 5 years
Oh my
because,
God.
he was kind of going against the grain there. But he somehow escaped with my mom, and they actually sought asylum and were sponsored by the city of 10,000 Buddhas Buddhist temple monastery in Ukiah, California.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, so they were there for, like, 3 months, and then they had contacts in Chicago somehow and told them, "Hey, you guys should come over here," and they
Mhm.
did, and that's where they had me, in Chicago,
Wow.
and, my parents are our parents' families, they're jungle people. They don't know what winter is. They were like, "What the heck is this white stuff? We don't like this."
Chicago is very cold.
Exactly, and, I love Chicago. I visited, like, years later as an adult. I love it, but I would never wanna live there,
Yeah.
and neither did them. They had some other contacts in back in California, this time Southern California, who encouraged them to come back to the state, and then as a baby and them, they relocated back to SoCal and, set up shop in the San Bernardino County area, Loma Linda, Redlands area, and then
Yeah.
had my other 5 siblings. So I'm the oldest of 6.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. So you're the oldest
Yeah.
of 6.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do any of them come and help you with the store?
Yeah, yeah, they all have. Every single
Yeah.
one of them have, you know, added their touch to the store, which I'm just so thankful for. We're all best friends. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Oh, I
But
love
I'm
to
really the
hear.
only one running the store on the daily,
Yeah.
which is fine.
I know how that is. I mean,
Yeah,
as you know, like social media, all this is so
it's
it
a
can get
lot.
so expensive if you hire someone. So
Oh, yeah.
I tell people, I'm
Mhm.
like, literally, I'm cooking for my family while I'm trying to have video. And sometimes we are just so hungry, I forget to take a picture. I'm like, I keep it
Oh, I
really up
know. The
there.
pressures are all around us, and they're so real. Like you were
Yeah,
saying earlier, when to run any kind of business is a huge risk, but again, I think about my dad and mom and the risks that they took to come here to
so
this country. And for me to, at 42, 43 at the time, to decide, let me just like continue to live out this American dream in a
right.
different way, and just be my own boss and let's see how that goes. And after a year, it's been an indicator to me that what I'm doing, which, half the time, more than half the time, I do not know what I'm doing. That whatever
Okay.
yeah, that I'm doing it. I'm doing it the
Right.
best that I can, and it's working.
And it's something that you love, and I love the community aspect. And ever since, well, not ever since, but the longer I've been in this industry, I mean, I shop differently.
Mhm.
I even though I can go to, I mean, I still go to H Mart or conventional grocery stores for things here and
Yep.
there. But I would say the majority of my shopping habits have changed to trying to shop local, and you're just more aware.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm like, gosh, why does garlic have to come from China? Like, what do they have to put on this
Right.
garlic? Because I mean, I have a tiny little garden, but I love being out there. I've never really gardened before, but now I'm like growing my own Swiss chard and all my herbs, my Vietnamese stuff
Oh my
in these like
word, that's awesome.
vertical gardens. And it's amazing, the second I cut it I have to use it. And I'm like, how does it stay fresh at the
Mhm.
grocery store? And
Right.
it's one thing if it's stuff that came locally, the producers dropped off that morning or a couple days ago.
Mhm.
But if you think about some of the stuff comes from overseas.
It makes you
So
wonder.
it makes
Mhm.
you wonder. So I really have changed my habits on, shopping more local, um, growing my own herbs, trying to find, I mean, and a lot of the brands I purchase, they're my friends' brands. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like such a sucker. I see someone doing a demo. I'm like, I do that too. So I'm going to buy whatever you're selling. But I think I don't know. I think it's like we're coming back to more authenticity in general and just having that awareness because
Mhm.
I didn't grow up like that. My mom worked a lot. So I grew up, people didn't believe me. Like she doesn't cook. Yeah, I taught myself how
Wow.
to cook.
Mhm.
I ate a lot of McDonald's, a lot of, we ate out a lot in
Mhm.
San Jose, there's tons of Vietnamese restaurants. So
Right.
we had a lot of takeout. But it's just amazing when you start noticing the ingredients and just making those changes. It's like swaps, right?
Mhm.
Um, it's just how much better I feel
Yeah.
because, like
Oh,
my
yeah.
family, the history of health problems. It's like some of them are still alive, but it's a lot of health problems that I started feeling in my 30s. So
Mhm.
it's pretty fascinating. So I've been on this journey since 2016. But I'm 45, and when I turned 45, I thought about it. I'm like, gosh, I've gone through so much and so many different lives in the 45 years. And I'm like, this is just the beginning,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Yeah.
So like for you, like this is just the beginning
It
of
really
something
is.
so exciting to think about that. I'm like, I don't even know what else is gonna happen.
Oh, thanks for sharing that with
So
me, When It's amazing that at 40 that we can still reinvent ourselves,
right.
whether, existentially, physically, spiritually, like you're confident in that ability in whatever that is to just like be okay and
Mhm.
confidently reinvent and pivot,
Yeah.
because like 20 something year old me would have been like, no, I'm sticking on this path. Like I have this like mission and you think you know everything at 20.
Of course.
It's like, nope.
People think that I would be doing when I'm 45, I would
Yeah,
never believe you.
exactly.
I was in the corporate, I was in banking.
Right.
So I was in banking since I was in high school as a teller,
Mhm.
graduated from San Diego State in finance. I thought I wanted to climb the corporate ladder and just wear a suit every day. And I did for a long time, but it just wasn't, I'm like,
Yeah.
I just don't want to spend the rest of my life doing this. And now
Right.
I always tell people I'm the black hoodie CEO. I'll be out in my another black hoodie. I'm like, Do you work in CPG?" They're like, "I do."
I love it when that's great.
It's very cold in grocery stores, I tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, no, I love it. So has your vision for your store evolved at all since like say from when you came up with the idea and what you wanted to do? Like has it evolved and if so, how so?
Yeah, it's evolved in a few ways. I mean, initially, like some of my earlier ideas included, oh, I'll offer food to go and make food to
Oh,
go, that sort of thing.
mhm,
But when you get down to the nitty gritty, which, most people who have never run a business, especially a
mhm.
food business before, that there's a lot of bureaucracy all around permits and, the
Right.
IRS and environmental health and safety. And so for me to get a
Oh,
pre-packaged permit is like one of like hundreds of different kinds of food permits out there. And it's also dependent on like the square footage of your building. And I mean, there's just so many different variables that people don't understand. And so I
wow.
quickly pivoted and was like, okay, let me just focus. Let's just focus on pre-packaged and just kind
Mhm.
of go from there. I didn't want to be, I had to reel my uh what is it
Excitement,
yeah,
maybe?
impetuous
Yes.
nature back a little bit and try to listen more to the pragmatic logical super ego as opposed to id. you
Yeah,
know
and
um it
it's
is.
it's exciting to think, and I love it, like, sometimes I'll be out and everyone loves to give me advice, like, "Have you thought about this?" or "Have you have you thought about being on Shark Tank?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh, please stop."
It's like, will you help me with that?
Yeah,
No, I
exactly.
don't. Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah,
Trust me,
you know?
every day I get a lot of
Every
unsolicited advice, and it's like it's hard to receive it. It's like,
Sometimes it does.
yeah, mhm,
Sometimes, I've really had to work on reframing my mind on how I
mm,
receive it
yeah,
and not get annoyed by it because I know they all want to be helpful.
yes, yeah,
But I think because we work so hard and we have to jump through so many hoops. Like one thing, like for example, my non-GMO verification. It's very expensive. It took me a
yes,
year to get the certification.
yeah,
Luckily, it covers the three SKUs, which I have, the three sauces,
mhm,
and but it's a renewal process every single
mhm,
year with renewal costs.
right,
And so it's so hard that, sometimes people just like, "Well, have you thought about getting certified organic?" Or I'm like, "Well, of course. Of course, I would love to have all the bells and the whistles and everything, but we can
mhm,
only it's steps, we can only
exactly,
do what we can,
yeah,
and it's tough, but I think it helps to be focused, like you said, because for us, you especially starting out, you can get so excited. Like, I'm like, "Oh, I wanna do this. I wanna be
oh
here. I'm
yeah,
gonna sell here.
oh yeah,
I'm gonna do this."
oh yeah.
But just really disciplined and focused, I think is
Exactly.
really
Like it's kind of like this, like all the ideas at the top, but then when you get down here, it's like this funnel of like the struggle between needs and wants and
right.
what's like truly feasible. Because at the end of the day, all of it costs money and
Yes,
time, which we
yes.
both know we don't have a lot of that on the daily. And so yeah, I really had to reel back a lot of ideas, even like the thought of cooking classes. I thought I would do that. I thought I would offer
Right.
just very basic, like how to do a
Mhm.
fresh spring roll class. But,
Yeah.
I'd have to put
The
in
permit.
yeah, a ventilation, probably need definitely
Oh,
some kind of a food permit to make food on site. And, all that to say to ensure people's safety, right? Like that's important to
right,
me.
right.
And
Good.
so I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do the food to go. I'm not gonna offer cooking classes, at least not in my store. I could
Right.
still do cooking classes, but at another, friends or collab opportunities with other
Lab opportunity.
businesses in town that have the facilities in place.
Right.
And then, food to go. I've actually solved that problem a year ago. I have friends that make food for pop-ups. They pop up all over town.
Uh-huh.
Mystic Meals, for example, they pop up in front of my store every other Sunday. They make
Oh, I
Vietnamese American foods, Win banh mi
gosh, I love
sandwiches. Yeah,
that. Oh
mhm.
my gosh. And so then
Yeah,
so they have all their own permitting that you don't have to
exactly.
worry.
And I don't have to worry about it. And we help
I
each
love.
other out. It's a symbiotic relationship. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
No, I
Yeah.
love that because I agree with you. I know, from some of my other retailers, they have told me it's like, "Oh, yeah, no, it's really expensive and all
Yeah.
the permitting stuff." But do you have, like, food to go that other, not that you've created, but that other, like, fresh food that, like, other companies resell? Because 'Cause I've seen some
Yeah.
of that. I don't it Yeah, what kind of things do you have in your store?
Yeah, so right now it's just a lot of prepackaged, shelf
Mhm.
stable, refrigerated, and freezer. And,
Okay.
halfway through the year, I did invest in a separate fridge for
Mhm.
self-service produce.
Oh, I
So
see.
so that's been sort of the timeline or evolution of the rabbit, if you will,
Mhm.
in the last year.
Yeah,
Got rid of the whole food to go idea and making my own food. Both of those
right.
ideas, I just got rid of them and wanted to focus instead on fresh ingredients. So I do get produce delivered to my store every week, and my mainstays are Thai basil, lemongrass, macaroot
Yum,
lime leaves, organic
yum.
ginger. I wish I could say that I grow a lot of all of these things, which customers ask me all the time, but it's actually from a supplier of mine. But that's been my focus is just
Great.
creating access to some common Asian veggies like also
Yeah.
gailan and bok choy. And like I said, my space is pretty tiny. Win. I'd love to host you at my space at
I
some
know, I
point in the
wanna
future,
do
but
it.
it's small but mighty.
Sometimes that's the best. I
It
love
is.
going to a store like that, and it's a great way to start, and, to make food items Asian, it's really the sauces, the pantry items, and the specialty, fresh ingredients that you have.
Mhm.
Anyone can get, cabbage, right? Or, you can get meats at so many other places. But what makes it Asian is the actual flavor, the
Mhm.
sauces and the
Mhm.
purees, the
Mhm.
ginger. And
Mhm.
so I love what you're doing. And so, the other question I wanted to ask was, how did you come up with the name the Ginger Rabbit?
Uh, let's see. I mean, it didn't take too long when honestly, I wanted for sure a local desert animal friend in the name.
Oh,
And,
cute. Yeah.
surprisingly, rabbit had not been taken really by anyone
Yeah.
in town. But like I said, it's a very small population, right?
Yeah.
Roadrunner was out there, quail and lion. Anyways, rabbit just made sense. And then ginger, it's in a lot of Asian cooking. And so
Yeah.
I wanted a food and animal element and together the ginger rabbit. And
That's so fun. I
later
love it.
on, I
Mhm.
realized the dirt road behind my building is called Rabbit Trail.
No way.
It was very kismet, very, very.
I love it. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's so fun. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I love getting to know you. And, I just love working with local neighborhood retailers. It does. It brings me so much joy. And anything you need from me, like if you need some recipes using our products, I love, being supporting my retail partners. So anything you need, don't ever hesitate to reach
Oh,
out.
thank you, Wynn. I really appreciate you reaching out to me in this way because in this world, we're just dominated almost on a daily basis by all these like oligarchs and just people who are so big that they just forget about the little people. And I just really appreciate that you are just so down to earth, Wynn, and that you really care about your food business and what goes into your body,
Right.
and you know, recreating those authentic flavors for folks at home.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where I've reflected and I thought, sometimes I'm like, gosh, I wish I discovered this when I was like younger, like late 20s, or when I had so much more energy.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I think there's a time for everything. And I'm just a different person than who I was before.
Yeah.
And so my priorities are so different now,
Yeah.
right? Like I like going back to I'm like the slower, like slowing down and making time and being present. So that's more of a priority for me now, and making connections, like real
Mhm.
connections with people. Um, it is. Sometimes I pick up the phone and call people and they're like, hello? Like I'm like even my own daughter, I call her, she's like, Mama. I'm like, yes, me. This is what the phone is for.
Exactly.
but I'm a believer that human connection and relationship will never it can never be replaced. Of course, we all use
Sure.
technology, we use
Yeah.
AI stuff here and there, but the actual connection can never be replaced, and
Yeah.
that's something that I love. I've always loved working with people and getting to know people. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. I'm like, you know what? Instead of trying to expand so fast, so far, and all these things, I'm like, I want to deepen my relationships and get to know my business partners that I already work with. And that way, if you need anything, it's easy to call and be like, "When I have this question," or just it's so nice to do business like that. And I truly believe that never goes out of style.
Thank you,
So,
Wynn, 100%. And yes, I would love some recipes to go along with the your sauces that I have coming
oh,
to the store. So
absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll send those over. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to the Wynn's Kitchen podcast. I hope today's conversation inspired you, whether it's in your business or in your kitchen. And if you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much if you subscribe, left a review, and shared it with someone you think that would be inspired. And if you want to learn more about Macy and the Ginger Rabbit, here's where you can connect with her. Follow her on Instagram at thegingerrabbit_market or visit the website at thegingerrabbit.com. I'll make sure I'll post the links in the show notes, and you can find all of these links. And then you make sure if you're in the area, definitely swing by, stock up your Asian pantry. You can also find Wynn's Kitchen products there as well. So thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.